Hey, and welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now, there's tons of vehicles on the road, of course, everything from the small compacts to the full SUVs, but one thing that really takes it to another level is the professional grade vehicles, and what I'm referring to is vehicles like the one behind me, the 2015 GMC Sierra Denali HD. Now, HD, of course, means heavy duty, and more specifically, the 2500 series. Now, what we're going to do is going to take this average trucker like me that really goes with the 1500s typically, dive inside, and really explain what a vehicle of this power will deliver. Now, the first thing you think of when you think of 2500 HD is that this is a powerhouse, and of course that is the case. There's obviously a huge engine on the hood, but on this crew cab model, what I love is the fact you have the ability to haul the crew. Now, when you look at the numbers, the 2500 versus the 1500 is still going to measure in the same. The number is about 239 inches overall, with the wheelbase about 153 inches. Now, that is basically comparable also to the double cab, with that model having just a slightly shorter wheelbase. But obviously, when you go to a 2500, you want the professional attitude that's going to deliver, and what I'm referring to, of course, is the towing capability and the payload. Now, once you climb inside the crew cab model, this is going to be straightforward Sierra here. Now, of course, we added Denali, so it's going to take premium to the next level. Now, one thing to really look at is the legroom numbers. Now, up front, you're going to have about 45 inches of space, which for this 6-foot frame of mine is going to be plentiful. Now, a couple of people commented that over 6'6", maybe it's getting a little bit tighter, but I can't speak to that. Now, when you swing around to the back seat legroom, that's still really going to be plentiful, about 40 inches, which really is going to house anyone with no real knee bleeding on the back of these seats. Now, otherwise, with this Denali, the next thing you're going to think about is, of course, the premium and these nice leather seats. Now, these are a little bit changed for 2015. Going to notice a little bit more premium, nice kind of sculpted seating, and the best part about the Denali is really you getting heated and cooled seats as standard. Now, with Denali comes innovations, and what you're going to notice that is the forefront of that is the 8-inch LCD screen right front center. Now, obviously that is touch screen. It's going to house everything you could possibly need, from apps to weather to phone to, of course, navigation, and it all operates in that IntelliLink system we've used many times. Now, this is the latest generation, and I think there's some great improvements there. Now, as you sweep down, there's minimal buttons that relate to that program, but down below, of course, is the dual climate controllers you're going to find on this model. Now, what's great, of course, is they are dial specific, really setting the temperature to your specific liking. Now, just below that is a few more controls, allowing you to really move the pedals up in this case. So for shorter drivers, they can kind of keep that distance from the dash. You have, of course, the light for the rear cargo area. To note, obviously that doesn't work when you're driving down the road. You got the parking sensors, you got the lane departure controls, and even better, you have the exhaust braking system that really works when you have heavy loads going down mountains. It takes the engine and helps brake this vehicle. Now, below that, of course, you've got even more electronic connections with the typical power controls selectors, the power supply like you have at home, and of course a ton of USB connections as well. Now, when you sweep down the middle, we've talked about this on other models, is you have this huge console right open that you can put a lot of items in. Now, you do have the cup holders right here, really has that rubber feeling inside. It holds all your beverages real nice. Now, the biggest thing, of course, on any truck is cargo. Now, we have the cargo in the back, but really right here between the drivers is a huge console. Now, it is really just kind of a vast opening. There's not a two-tier system here, so it's going to be kind of a dumping ground for anything you throw in it. Also in here, you're going to find the SD card reader, USB connections, and of course another power supply as well. Now, when you think of professional grade pickup, you may not think of premium quality right off the bat, because you're obviously going to make this a rugged vehicle. But when you put Denali on the side of it, you obviously are putting cosmetics and premium added value. Now, one thing you'll notice, of course, on the Denali is the fact they really go with body color almost around the entire vehicle. Really on the bumpers, of course, everywhere on the facade, with just a hint of chrome accents, really on the door handles, and of course these step rails. The biggest part, of course, you're going to find is that chrome grille front and center. Now, another nice feature I like is the fact that around the wheel wells, they've kept the black kind of rubber cladding, obviously protecting this vehicle from the bumps and scrapes you're going to get by going off-road. Now, the other big thing you need to think about on a rugged pickup like this, of course, are the tires. Now, on the Denali, we're going to go with 20-inch standard with the 265 R60 type tires. Now, obviously, our pickup truck looking pretty isn't the most important thing, but what is payload capabilities and towing capacities. Now, when you look at the 2500, when it is equipped with that 6.6 liter turbo diesel engine, what that equates to is the best bang for your buck. Now, what I'm referring to is about 2,700 pounds of payload in the back of this vehicle. Now, if you look at towing, that's going to be around about 17,000 pounds. Now, those are based on this being a four-wheel drive model. Now, what's great when you swing around to the back of this vehicle is, of course, the safety that's coming standard on most pickup trucks. And what I'm referring to, of course, is the backup sensors. Now, that's mostly standard on any vehicle and really gives you that kind of sensory factor before you get anywhere near some items. But the best thing when you're towing and backing this vehicle up, of course, is the backup camera. Now, of course, it's mounted right here in this area, allows you to get a bird's eye view really of this tow hitch, really allowing you to get right up close to those trailers without doing the get out, look at it, get back in, get out, that whole combination we've done many times. Now, one feature I love on all these models is the easy lift tailgate system. Now, basically, when you unlock it, it does not bang. It eases into place. Now, that's something we didn't find on the Dodge Ram. It really kind of makes it just a nicer feature, because when that thing bangs down and hits you, you're going to remember that. Now, once it opens up, you do have the optional spray line bed liner. It is standard here, and really, again, takes out the scratch and dings that is associated with a cargo bed. Now, on this crew cab model, you can go with a 6'6" bed like we have here, or of course you can go upgrade to an 8-foot one as well. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned or really complained about is the key system here on the 2500, and it's the old traditional. Now, what I really like for them to do is replace this with the smart key systems, really allowing you to kind of keep this in your pocket and forget about it. But until then, we'll just have to crank it up manually. Now, another nice feature, of course, on any truck is the ability to really not worry about the crew and worry more about cargo, because not all the time can you put cargo back there because of the elements. And what you want to do is be able to transition this from passenger hauler to cargo, and it's really made simple. There's no levers to pull. You really simply pull underneath the kind of cushion here and, of course, flip it up. Now, what's great is this is kind of an 80-20, 70-30 split bench seat, really allow you to carry either one occupant and carry cargo, of course, two occupants and cargo over there. If you flip them both up, of course, that's going to give you one huge flat surface. Now, for my stint, of course, behind the wheel, I really didn't put a lot of cargo back here, but I did put a lot of groceries. Now, obviously, on a big vehicle like this, when you start towing a lot of items, of course, if you go with that fifth wheel, you're really going to need these mirrors that come standard on this model. Now, these obviously protrude out a little bit more. They take a little bit of getting used to, because really you have to get the right angle to kind of give you that blind spot awareness. Now, it took a little bit of getting used to. It didn't really kind of knock anybody off the road, but you really have to kind of visualize where that mirror needs to be. Now, down below you have a smaller mirror. Now, I love that because it really gets it down on the ground, allows you to see those curves or those kind of close avenues when you're getting in parking spaces. Now, we talked about, of course, the step rail. Now, what that's great for, of course, is because this has a fairly high ground clearance, about 8 to 9 inches. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but once you add the seat height in here, you're really going to have a running start to get inside. Now, sweeping around down the side, of course, you have great body lines on the Sierra, and I love these rear haunches. Again, that chiseled look, and of course, that body cladding we talked about earlier to minimize the scrapes. Now, another nice feature with the Denali is you're kind of getting these black body paint everywhere you look, really body color all the way around the vehicle. Now, one feature that is standard regardless of the model is these little steps built into the bumper that really allows you access, because again, this is great ground clearance. Just because it's 8 or 9 inches, obviously this bumper is much higher than that, so it requires a little bit of getting up in there, but this really allows great access into that cargo bay. Now, I talk about it all the time, and what I'm referring to, of course, is grille warfare. And on a full-size vehicle like this, it does it quite well. I'm referring to that chrome grille front and center. Now, that is stereotypical Denali with those riveted holes, and really gives you that pronounced front end you're looking for. Now, another nice feature we love up front, of course, are the parking sensors. That is similar to the ones in the back, really allowing you to kind of get in those tight spots, referring to parking spaces at the mall. Now, what that does on the inside, of course, how it translates, it's not an audible sound, it's actually a vibration that is transferred to the seat, allowing you to kind of be more stealth as you get into those kind of close areas. Now, under the hood, of course, is the most important part of this vehicle, and that is the 6.6 liter V8 turbo diesel engine by Duramax. Now, it's going to deliver a whopping 395 horsepower and 765 foot-pounds of torque. Now, what all that means at the end of the day, of course, is great payload and towing capacity. Now, another nice feature, of course, it is coupled with an Allison 6-speed transmission. Now, one thing you may not think of, when you have a huge vehicle like this, of course, and that is fuel economy. But if you must know the numbers, it averages about 10 to 12 miles per gallon during our test drive. Now, if you couple that with the 36-gallon fuel intake, you're going to average somewhere between 350 to maybe 400 miles of range. That does it for this edition of Road Warrior and our test drive behind the wheel of the 2015 Sierra Denali HD. Now, obviously, this is overkill for a novice like me because I'm not sure I'll ever tow 17,000 pounds of gear, but obviously it is professional grade and the go-to choice. Now, I have to make mention of that 6.6 liter turbo diesel engine by Duramax because it really gives you the best bang for your buck. Now, I'd like to thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior, and as always, keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.